Now we're going to take a look at PowerCivil Modeler and how to create a roadway within the Modeler tools. The first time we create a road, we're going to use a pre-existing alignment and profile that we've already designed to aid us in the modeling of our road. So to get started, we're going to start on page 1-12 of our training guide under Create a Rural Roadway. So I'm going to open up our site plan 2d.dgn and I'm going to access the site model project file that we've been working in for the pond, and we're going to focus on the road, what we call the main road. So the first thing is to create a new object under Object, Modeler Object New. This will be a roadway type object. We can call it Main Road. So actually changing the object name there and add it to the active model. Now what we're going to do is create a site element. So Modeler Elements New. And the tool we're going to use is the very last tool called Use Alignment. This allows me to grab a Kogo file, a GPK file, and use an alignment that's in there and a profile to define the site element location and elevation. I could select it to only create the site element for a particular station range if I want. Toggle that on and key in the begin and end station. Now one thing this tool does is it actually draws a graphic for us. So I'm going to set the element to by feature, which allows me to select my DNC manager to aid in drawing the feature. So it's going to draw an element using the plot or drafting standards that are set up in my DDB item under Drafting Standards General DES chains. And what that's going to do is draw a green dotted line similar to the one here already in the file. So that line's already there. I'm going to go ahead and delete it out of the CAD file using PowerCivil delete, and we'll place a new one there and make it a site element. So we click apply and it creates the graphic again, and it also actually creates a site element, so it's got elevation on it. Now that I have that, the next step is to define the edges of pavement. So under Modeler, Elements, New, same tool, I'm going to define the edges of pavement. This time from slope offset from a site element. This tool allows me to calculate elevation for an element based on a previously defined site element. So in my case, the previously defined site element is a center line, and I want to calculate the new element's elevation based on a minus 2% slope from this center line to the edge of pavement. I'm not going to use the offset height option this time, so I turn that off, and I'm going to set the projection option to entire element. So literally it's going to project all along the center line over to the edge of pavement. I want it to remember that the edge of pavement is associated with the center line, so I've toggled on Use Reference Association. So now it's time to select the graphics that make up the edge of pavement. So I click the Select Elements icon on the dialog, and I go through and I select the edges of pavement. Once I've selected them all, then they're all highlighted. Then I come down to the dialog again and I click Select Reference. I click the Select Reference button. I click on the center line of the roadway and it highlights. Now I need to data point again, so I click one more time and that actually accepts that selection, and then I click Apply. So that defines the edges of pavement. Now turn my display off for a second. I've got two other elements that I want to define, and they're up in the intersection. So I want to slope from the center line over to the dashed element at the same percent slope. The only difference being is that I want to make that feature a boundary. So leaving the dialog as is, except change the feature type, I select both of those dashed elements at the intersection, and then I select the reference element to be the center line, and accept that with a data point. Then I click apply, and those get created as well. And so I've defined the edge of the pavement and those dashed join, what we call join lines in the intersection, that will be used later when we do the intersection grading.